lot of people forget that I'm like still a kid. I'm still in school. I still have to listen to my math teacher for hours every day, and soon that'll be done. And I'm happy like how I've done in school. Like I'll leave. I've perfectly grades, and I've made a lot of good friends from school. And then overall, I like school. A lot of entrepreneurs hated school. It's all right. I was sitting in the back with my laptop, doing some trades every now and then. I'm checking up on the analytics, and because I did well in school, I got more leeway. I think if I was failing, I would never be able to leave call. Like if I tell the teacher like I need to take a call, they understand like, okay, they know something. They don't know like what I'm doing, but they think he has some type of business or something. I don't think they know the type of numbers I'm doing, and I'll never tell them because I think you don't want that relationship. They're in the possession of authority, and I always leave it to them. Even though I probably am earning, or I actually know I am earning more than them, I still have massive respect. And most people see those clips very disrespectful to teachers and those type of things. You're an idiot. Like they're doing their job. They're very honest, good people. But yes, I can leave the call, leave the class, take a call, and you've got things like that I think are accessible because I'm a good student, and I'm able to learn things super quickly. So I do really, really well in school. Like my report looks, it's perfect basically.
What would you give as advice for bad students?
Learn how to learn. The most valuable skill I've ever learned is learning how to learn. I think understanding the skill, because it's like, say you invest, it's like investing. If you invest 10 hours into reading and studying about how the brain actually works, like how do I memorize things? Learn for yourself. Some people are good with audio, some people are good visually. Learn how you learn. Spend 10 hours doing that, and I guarantee you the rest of your life, you'll be 20% more efficient learning. And in the end, it'll save you thousands of hours. If you can just read 20% faster and retain 20% more, you spend 10 hours to learn to do that, but for the rest of your life, it's a pay up. So it's like you invest a little bit up front and you'll get pleasure from that for the rest of your life. So most people schools never taught anyone. We don't get taught how to learn. They don't say, okay, this is how you should memorize things. You want to have, use this study method. And everyone's like, I can't just tell you do this because what works for me might not work for you. And I can remember things insanely quickly. So for me, 15 minutes of studying, then being able to go back to work, and then like 15 minutes of hard studying again works for me. But that won't work for everyone. So figure out what works for you, like test it, like trial and error, like you should do with everything. Like I do the same with my health, and we'll go over that later. But you want to do trial and error and figure out like what works for you and learn how to learn. I think The Science of Learning is a good book I'd recommend to people to get started. The Science of Learning, and write it down.
Yeah, write it down.
Write it down. The Science of Learning. I think if you understand how to learn, it's the best skill in the world. It lets me read books with better retention. Lets me do well in school. And undoubtedly, I can't tell you're gonna read that book and be able to learn like I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like it won't happen. I think you have a lot of genetics behind it. Like I have a very good memory. I always have. As a kid, I was doing like top in the country in math competitions, those type of things. That undoubtedly I have better than average genetics for it. But I think learning how to learn has been super, super valuable for me. And it's not only for school, but through the rest of your life. You want to learn whatever you're doing. If you want to learn a language, or you want to learn a martial arts, or you want to read some books, like the better you can learn things, the more money you'll make regardless of the endeavor.
Mm. Yeah, what works for me is just listening to books while reading it, because then the whole time, like you hear it and you see it, so you use all your senses.
I do the same, yeah.
Yeah.
And then take notes. I mean, just for reading, how I read and how I'm able to retain so much is because I have a good memory. But B, you want to do what you said. You want to put in ears while you're reading. And not only, so you put it like 3x, you can put it really quick, because if you're doing the 1x, it's super slow, because you can read much quicker than you can listen. Mm-hmm. So you put it really quick, that sounds like Mickey Mouse is talking to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then you not only keep a good tempo, because sometimes you read, especially if you read at night like I do, you read for 3 sentences and you realize like, I've been reading, but I actually don't know what's happened.
You reread for 10 times.
Yeah, so you reread, but you actually don't understand what was said. You your eyes are moving, but like your brain is not actually reading it. Yeah. And so reading helps that, and you keep a steady tempo as well. Because sometimes you're reading quick, and then when you're reading
you have to keep up with the Mickey Mouse voice.
Yeah, exactly. So you follow out with it, so you have better retention, and take notes. I mean, pause down. I have like my notes app, and I just have the best like things written down in my notes app. I have a pen and paper as well next to me when I'm reading. Because a lot of book, there's not much value, but there's that 1 or 2 sentences. I'm like, let me write that. Like, there's only a few important things to learn. Like the whole book could be condensed to 1 page, and there's a bunch of useful information, but not to you. Like for me at this stage, like the guy just said that, and that's super important. Like talks about the how about hiring people, and for me right now, that's an important stage of my journey. But say someone else might read, and that's not an important bit of information to them. So it's a long book, but realistically for you, like the person reading, you have about 1 page of useful information that it's all condensed down to. So I have like, 1 page, a whole book summarized basically in 1 page. And there's a bunch of things I'm missing, but those are things I already know. Aren't applicable to me yet. It's about like, how to get past $100 million. Like I need to learn that yet because it's not applicable to me at all. I need to first get to $10 million. So I think the stage that, for how to get from mil to 10 mils is way more important for me than it is to do the other things. So I think you need to condense like what's important to you and write it down, because you're not going to remember it forever. Even if you listen and read it in 4 or 5 weeks, you've forgotten. So write down and review it. Like every month, on the 1st of April, I'll just go read through all the things I've written down for all these different books. So I've got like 100 books. I've got all these different paragraphs and pages I'll get through in a day or two. And all of a sudden it refreshes those things in my mind.
Is that also not the reason why those most popular books or those most commercial books are probably not the best ones to learn from? Because they are like too broad, not specific enough?
Yeah, I think you should begin reading the popular books just to get the broad overview, and it's just everyone recommends them. But find the style of books you like, because you'll also enjoy it a bit. I've never read a fiction book in my life. Even for school, I would always just search summaries. I've never in my life read a fiction book, just because some people enjoy doing it, but I enjoy watching a movie more. I'll be honest. I'd rather be watching TikTok or a YouTube video than reading, and I don't think there's much value in reading fiction. But I read not for fun. I read to learn. It's not fun to read a book. It's way funner to go watch a Netflix series or even go play football with your friends than it is to go read. But I think it's good for your attention span and it's good to learn from. So figure out exactly what you like, because it'll make it easier. If you're reading the most boring finance book, which I've read, it's more difficult to do that than it is to read a very well-written book. So, find the type of style you're looking for, and information that's applicable to you. Like, useful things. Like, if you're not super worried about investing, don't go read Warren Buffett's autobiographies and things like that. Get more things that are applicable to you. Like, if you're a young person, read about, an entrepreneur that's written books like quite young. It's no use. Maybe you can gain value for someone older, but, kind of read positions. The author matters a lot. Like, before I read a book, I always do quick 30 seconds about what the author did. Like, I don't want to take this guy's advice if it's not like in a position I would want to be in. If he's some broke guy that's never done a business and he's talking to me about money, it's like, why should I listen? That's why I think the school system is a bit broken. It's because you have a business teacher teaching you who's never ran a business. So they've become positions of authority that they're teachers, but they're not actually like in a position of authority that they have more knowledge in the field than they should. So a lot of them, like, I undoubtedly can say with confidence, I know more about business than my business teacher. He studied the curriculum, but I've been in the field of business for 5 years. I've scaled, business massively. I've read every book there is. So I feel like, I'll always still respect them, but I don't feel like they're in a position. Whereas if I read Warren Buffett, he knows so much more about business than me. So of course I'm going to listen. If I listen to Alex Hormozi talk about podcasts, he's so much smarter and he's done so much more in business than I have. So I should listen to them. So I think it's always important to listen to people a couple steps ahead of you, even a million steps ahead of you. They can always give you advice on how they got there. But if you're listening from people below you, like, you've already passed that step. Like, you don't need advice on how to pass those challenges because you already passed them. So it can be help. Maybe you don't want to fall back there, but it's always important to get people ahead of you on the journey, because that's how you're going to have to get through those obstacles, is with the knowledge they give you.